What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Stokastic Fantasy Football channel, and this is our final series, our final segment of the NFL preseason. We are talking about our flag plant players, the players we are trying to leave every single draft with by drafting them at ADP. We're not saying jump 3 rounds, 4 rounds for these players. In fact, we have no first-round players on here because obviously, if you get a chance to draft one of these first-round running backs, go ahead and take them. We're going to start in the second and below here. We got 5 flag plant running backs, and here to discuss it with me is Nick Lepre. Follow him at Notorious FNTSY. What's up, buddy?
I'm doing great today. I'm excited, as usual, always excited for these topics to talk about these flag plant running backs because one of my guys went absolutely crazy last night, so I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah, he's turning into the preseason darling. A little bit of spoiler alert for that last one there. But ultimately, these are the running backs that we would love to have as essentially our core of running backs if we didn't take anybody in the first round at the running back position. Let's say we went wide receiver in the first round. Theoretically, you could come away with all 5 of these running backs as your stable of backs going into the regular season. It's not going to be easy in your home league, but it is possible. So let's start to break this one down. Nick, give me your first flag plant running back for the 2022 season. You're my guy, if you will.
Yeah, so we're going to start earliest in the draft for me and go with James Conner, running back of the Arizona Cardinals. Current ADP running back 15 on Underdog Fantasy, pick 34.7. Now, I have banged the drum for James Conner all offseason. I truly do believe that the only argument that is being made against him is not a valid argument. Me and Savoca have both talked about this, how the fact that, he scored so many touchdowns last year, that's bound to go down. Sure, it's probably crazy that he scores that many touchdowns in 2022, but even if that number decreases, I believe his volume as a whole will increase, whether that is both in the rushing aspect of the game as well as in the amount of receptions he should see. While Eno Benjamin seems to be the clear number 2 back on the team, I don't think that Eno Benjamin is going to be in that same role that Chase Edmonds was in last year. Now, that could be a wrong take. I personally just do not believe that's the situation that James Conner and Eno Benjamin will be in. And I think that James Conner is in one of the better offenses in the NFC. I think they'll be scoring a lot of points, and I believe heavily in James Conner. There are certainly some arguments to make against him, but I think in the third round, at that ADP, I think he is an excellent value.
Yeah, I mean, what do you want? Touchdown regression is already kind of baked in here. That's why he's a third-round pick, late second round sometimes. Actually, I've seen him fall to the late third as well. 239 total touches last year, and the running back 1B left the team. Forget about the touchdown total. Just think about the opportunity here, the projections for this player on a per-game basis, the probabilities that he actually hits 300 or more total touches this season on one of the better offenses in the NFL. Still just 27 years old, a little bit injury prone, but that's because he's a big-bodied bruiser of a back, not the fastest guy in the world, and honestly, that makes him a little bit more intriguing to me. Finished RB5 last year. You don't even have to draft him there, and regardless of this pass-catching amorphous opportunity situation, which, by the way, I agree with you, he's going to get, he's still getting that goal line work for a team that's supposed to score a whole lot of points. I get Kyler is going to run sometimes in the goal line, but guys, even if the touchdowns come down from 18 total like it was last year, he'll make up for it in opportunity. This is an easy bet for me. Going in the third round, a little bit after my guy. I got to talk about him. Well, before I do, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. You know what to do, guys. Yeah, it's always helpful. Do what Nick just did, that little dance. Follow him at Notorious FNTSY. I'm at Draftaholic, by the way. Didn't mention that earlier. Okay. I'll get to him. Saquon Barkley. Middle of the second round. I'm reaching in the upper parts of the first round. Upper parts of the second round. 201, 202. Not uncomfortable taking Saquon Barkley. I will say this. I don't think we've really seen a healthy Saquon Barkley for more than 3 games the last 2 seasons. The same fears we have about Christian McCaffrey at 101 or 102 are the same fears we have about Saquon Barkley. And we have to take him like whole round later. That's really the argument for me. I know in the 2020 season, he got hurt early. In the 2021 season, in week 5 against Dallas, he goes down with that ankle injury. He does come back later in the season, but clearly was not himself. Still managed to cobble together 3 double-digit fantasy points game after the ankle injury, but I think that was just about getting back on the field for his team. A rallying cry, if you will. He was not 100% at all. The true healthy Saquon Barkley, the last time we actually saw him was the end of 2019 when he was going absolutely nuclear in fantasy. Week 15 against Miami in 2019, 143 total yards, 2 touchdowns, 30 fantasy points. Next week at Washington, 279 total yards, 2 touchdowns, 43 fantasy points. Week 17, 117 total yards, a touchdown, 21 fantasy points. That's the ceiling here. If you want to talk about legendary upside for a player outside the first round, I think Saquon Barkley is the best bet this year.
Yeah, and you can even make an argument that he was banged up going into last season. If you don't remember, they're talking about these touch counts for Saquon Barkley potentially. Kenny Golladay was also banged up on the team, so it was not a great year for the Giants as a whole. And if you think the Giants are going to be better this year with Brian Daboll already cursed out a ref earlier on in the preseason, so you know things should be better than Joe Judge, who's going to run the ball on 3rd and 7,000. So I think this is a much better scenario for the Giants. And I was out early on Saquon, and I guess I was out at the wrong time because you could have gotten him in the 3rd round. Now you have to pay a much heavier price. And in some drafts, I've seen Saquon go in the 1st round. Now, obviously, those are not as casual of drafts, right? These are the drafts that you're seeing people put big money on. But Saquon Barkley's a guy that could definitely go in the 1st round, and I'm back in on him. I don't have him ranked as high as some people. I've seen people have him ranked as their RB3. I think that's a little fucking crazy. He could be the running back 3 in fantasy. I think that's just too high to rank him, in my opinion. But I think Saquon Barkley is going to have a huge year this year. And I really think that the only argument I was making against him was that maybe he just doesn't have that explosiveness left in him. And I think that has been slain out of my mind by all these training camp clips I've seen.
Yeah, you've got clips of him clearly looking like himself. Obviously, we'll have to see it on the field. But I'm telling you guys, from a workload standpoint, he checks absolutely all the boxes. He's going to get the between the 20s work. He's going to get the receptions work. He's going to get the goal line work. There's no reasonable backup behind him who could take any sort of touches away. This is Saquon's year. Maybe not next year in a New York Giants uniform, but this year, 300 total touches, like we were talking about James Conner, far from outside the range of outcomes. We next move to your second flag plant player, who I was actually surprised to see him ahead of my next guy. But currently in underdog fantasy drafts, he's going 20 picks before my guys. Yeah, so we got to talk about him. He is maybe your favorite player because he's on your favorite team. No? Hit me with your second running back.
Yeah, my second running back is on my favorite team, of course. It's Chase Edmonds, running back of the Miami Dolphins, ADP 26, pick 81.8. Now, the reason why I like Chase Edmonds is not because he's a Miami Dolphin. I just really like the fact that he is going to be on an offense that is going to look to run the ball and an offense that is going to look to utilize him. Now, I'm someone who pays very close attention to the Miami Dolphins, and I watched that preseason game very closely. I whipped out my binoculars. I was staring directly at the screen the whole time. And I think that based upon what I saw right there on just that 1-2 drives with Tua and Chase Edmonds, that Chase Edmonds is going to get a lot of opportunity to catch passes in this offense. The only negative remark you can make about Chase Edmonds is, oh, he lost his job to James Conner. Well, I saw that coming last year, if I'm being honest with you, because James Conner is just a better running back than Chase Edmonds all around. But I think Chase Edmonds is going to be given a lot of opportunity in Miami. I think this team is going to be scoring a lot of points. And if they're up late in game, guess what they're going to do? They're going to run the ball. And I think Chase Edmonds is going to be given the opportunity to be the lead back. Sure, Raheem Mostert's going to mix in. There's going to be games where Sony Michel vultures like 2 touchdowns or something crazy, because that's just what's bound to happen in a 49ers system ran offense, which is what the Miami Dolphins is with head coach Mike McDaniel. But they're talking about how they might trade Gesicki because he can't block. And you want to know why you need to block? Because you need to run the fucking football. And that's what they plan to do. I love Chase Edmonds this year. And while his ADP might be blown up a little bit, it was originally, I think, around pick like 100. Now he's up to pick 81.8. I still like him, though.
He's a great pick. He's a great pick. He's a starting running back on a team that could ascend this year. Just because you have Jalen Waddle and Mike Gesicki and, of course, Tyreek Hill doesn't mean you're going to pass for 100% of your touchdowns. And Chase Edmonds is the first in line to those goal line carries. You got a speedster in Raheem Mostert. You got a bruiser in Sony Michel. They are going to be in specialist situations, but I think Chase Edmonds is that guy on one of those teams that could take that leap as an offense, that Buffalo Bills 2021 leap that we saw I guess it was 2 years ago. I digress. It's an offense that has all the weaponry and hopefully a quarterback in Tua Tagovailoa who can take that next step. And the running back is going to be a beneficiary, especially if he just gets maybe 60 to 70% of that total backfield opportunities. That's very much in the range of outcomes for Chase Edmonds, even if Mostert and Michelle and even Myles Gaskin mix in.
Yeah, and here, wait, real quick before
Yeah.
before we pivot, I just also want to mention that last year the offensive line in Miami was awful. This year it's not going to be the best offensive line in the NFL, but definitely better than what they're rolling out last year in a turnstile of an offensive line. So I figured I would mention that as well. You can go now. Sorry.
It is. It's revamped. That whole offense, man. If Mike McDaniel can figure it out like he did in San Francisco, sky's the limit on that team. And really, it's the same situation for my number 4 or my number 2, this total number 4 running back in our flag plant plays. It's Devin Singletary. The quality of the offense, that's not in question here with the Buffalo Bills, right? It really is about how many touchdowns does Stephon Diggs score, how many does Gabriel Davis score, and how many does Josh Allen run in with his legs. So with that out of the way, Devin Singletary still saw 100% of the first team snaps when they played in the first quarter against Denver last week. He had 6 total opportunities in 10 total plays. You guys, James Cook is a fine 0 running back play, but Devin Singletary is that dude. I'm not leaving the 6th round without this guy. I left an auction where I took Singletary for $4 more than Chase Edmonds went for. This is my guy this year. An injury could always happen to any running back, but that many high value touches on that high value of an offense every single time. By the way, I was scrolling through some of the media I'd posted on Twitter because that's what normal people do on normal days. And I forgot that I had posted a college true touchdown rate. Just a fancy data science term to regress back to the mean how many times a player scored a touchdown on a per touch basis in college. Devin Singletary, the number 3 running back in that stat since the year 2000. Lendell White, Monte Ball, Devin Singletary. You're never going to believe who number 4 is. Antonio Gibson, and then your boy Rashad Penny going in the same parts of draft. It's one of my favorite stats to look at college prospects. How often did you get the ball in the end zone? Especially good for mid-tier, mid-conference players like that, like Singletary, Florida Atlantic player. Anyway, I digress. This is just one of my favorite players in the NFL right now on an elite offense. Had number 1 weeks down the stretch. His last time we saw him on the field, running back 5, running back 3, running back 2, running back 4.
Spoiler alert, guys. Devin Singletary is pretty good. He's much better than most people give him credit for. Now, the only way that I think Devin Singletary really just has an awful year compared to what we're thinking is if they really try and push the Zach Moss narrative again in this offense and they start giving Zach Moss touches, but I don't think that's going to happen. I really think Devin Singletary, when you can score the most fantasy points is when you're on like the 1 or 2 yard line, and James Cook is not going to be in those scenarios. James Cook is not built to do that. They're going to give the ball to Devin Singletary, and I'm very confident this year that he is the clear lead back on the team, and I think the Buffalo Bills are going to be amazing. They might just be the best team in the NFL. This is an amazing team, and I think he's going to start off his season with a boom against the Rams. That game should be very high scoring, and I'm very excited to see what Devin Singletary can do. I genuinely have been all aboard all offseason. He's one of my highest owned players on Underdog.
It's just a no-brainer, guys. I'm sorry. I like James Cook. I know he has a pretty good football pedigree with his brother being a first-round pick. And I think Devin Singletary might not be a Buffalo Bill next year, which would make Cook a fantastic draft pick, right? Because if you could just insert someone into that role right away next year and not have to pay the running back, that's probably an advantageous thing for a Super Bowl contender. But this year, guys, Devin Singletary is going to explode for the Bills. One last player here, but before we reveal that player, just want to remind you guys, go ahead, like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell as well so that you always know when we're going live. You get all those notifications. It's good for you. You know, the things pop up on your phone. It's definitely not distracting at all. It's you want the Fantasy Football channel telling you when they're live. That's what you want. And we also have a great offer right now. We know it's the height of draft season right now, and we have a great promotion from our friends at Underdog Fantasy, and we got a free gift from Stokastic as well. Excuse me, the Underdog Fantasy is the best place to play best ball fantasy football. No waiver wires, no trades. You just draft your team and win. They've got so many different tournament types. The Pomeranian tournaments that have had $3 entry, 0% rake. The $5 puppy tournaments. The $25 best ball mania tournament with 3 opportunities to win $1 million or more. And if you use promo code Stokastic, you see it at the bottom of the screen, STOKASTIC, you can get a first match deposit bonus up to $100, and the gifts do not stop there. You get a free gift from us, the Best Ball and Fantasy Football Draft Kit, getting you ready for both your home league and every single type of best ball tournament you could think of. Tournaments, cash games, DraftKings, Underdog, of course, and all the other fantasy platforms you could think of. We got you covered. A $70 value, absolutely free when you sign up over at Underdog using promo code Stokastic. All right. This guy's gotten a little bit of noise, just a little bit of noise over the course of the last few weeks during the preseason. Hit me with our final my guy in the running back position, our final flag plant player. Who is it?
It is my boy, Dameon Pierce, running back 29, pick 90.5 right now. Now, Dameon Pierce was a guy that early in the offseason, people are thinking, oh, maybe Marlon Mack's going to see touches, maybe Rex Burkhead, maybe any of these running backs, they're going to be seeing the ball. No, that was incorrect because it is Dameon Pierce season. Yesterday, this man gets 6 touches, 37 rushes, or 37 rushing yards, I should say, and 1 touchdown, 6.2 yards per carry. Dameon Pierce is the clear number 1 running back on this team, and that is without a doubt at this point. I genuinely believe that if he's not in for the first snap of the regular season, then everyone should be fired in this Houston Texans organization because Dameon Pierce is clearly the best running back on this team. People are going to talk about how, at Florida, he was not necessarily a true running back 1, blah, blah, blah. Well, you want to know why? Because their quarterback was running the ball so much. That also was negative towards him, and he was the best running back there, in my opinion. So I love Dameon Pierce this year. I think he's going to be given a lot of opportunity, and don't make some bullshit argument against me in the comment section about how, he's on a bad team. That is a stupid argument to make. Just because he's on a bad team, he can be great. This is very obvious. James Robinson 2 years ago, one of the best running backs in fantasy football, and the Jaguars were just like being like snails moving up the field. They couldn't do anything, and James Robinson's amazing. Carolina Panthers running back McCaffrey, you're drafted him number 2 overall. That offense has been dog shit for years, and he's still amazing. So, yeah, that's just the argument that I hate to see. I love to see Dameon Pierce fall to me. His ADP is going to rise even more, right? What did I say? It just was 90.5. I wouldn't be surprised if by the time you draft Labor Day weekend, right? He might be pick 70, pick 65 because of how much steam he's getting. And it's really crazy to see because I've been steaming him up since he was picked like 150.
I have to say, you have been beating the drum for Dameon Pierce like during draft season. And then you were talking about him the moment he got drafted in round 4 to the Houston Texans. You said that this backfield is up for grabs. Rex Burkhead and then eventually Marlon Mack were just a guy, both of them. And you know what? That's so far come to fruition in the preseason. I just want to remind people who haven't been playing fantasy football for more than a few years, there was a running back named Royce Freeman who balled out in the preseason. We pushed him up to the 3rd round. Did not work out. He was playing fullback. He was playing fullback yesterday in preseason play. There was another one a couple years earlier. Detroit Lions 4th round pick, Amir Abdullah, balled out in the preseason. 4th round pick in fantasy drafts. Did not work out.
Dante Pettis. Remember Dante Pettis? That didn't work either.
Look, I think Dameon Pierce is awesome. His missed tackles forced in college, fantastic. And I was seeing some film grinders talk about how there was some really questionable play calling at Florida. Like he'd rip off a 12-yard run and then just not get the ball again for 10 plays. And so we're not going to try. It's hard to suss that out when you're just looking at spreadsheets, looking at numbers. But the context like that really helps us out because on a per touch basis, this dude was fantastic, like 3rd best in this class. Texans may have gotten a steal here in this one, and that is 5 running backs, 5 up, 5 down, 20 minutes to tell you about the running backs outside of the 1st round that we would love to build out our stable of running backs on our favorite fantasy teams. Follow him at Notorious FNTSY. He's Nick Lepre. My name is Matt Savoca. Follow me at Draftaholic. You know the drill. Like, subscribe to the channel. Really helps us out. Take advantage of those special offers from Stokastic and Underdog Fantasy. We will see you back here very soon with our flag plant players for all the other positions. Until next time, I'm Matt Saboka. We'll see you guys later.